Hello everyone. In this video we will learn about respiration and circulation. That is the chapter 12th biology, chapter number 8. Right? So in this chapter we will learn about human respiratory system. Right? So let's talk about human respiratory system. Now, when we talk about human respiratory system, there are few organs which all together form human respiratory system, right? So, look at the different parts of the respiratory system. In this picture, you can see here there is these all are the organs of human respiratory system. Okay, so first of all, we will learn about in detail of all respiratory organ. So this respiratory system divided into two parts. First one is upper respiratory system and second one is lower respiratory system. So here the upper respiratory system and somewhat the lower respiratory system. Okay, when we see the upper respiratory system, it consists of external nares, nasal cavity, internal nares, nasopharynx, throat, right? And the next one, when we talk about the lower respiratory system, we will see there the larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and lungs are present. So I hope in a previous classes you learn about the human respiratory system. So in this slide you can see here there is the lower respiratory system and human upper respiratory system, right? So here the nasal cavity is present. You can see here this is the nasal cavity over here, and the next one is nostril is also present, the opening of your nose, and the next one is mouth, that is also considered as a digestive system part. Then that open into larynx, before that open into pharynx. Okay, here the some pharynx is present. Okay, and then next one is after the pharynx open into the trachea, right? So where it is present, the somewhere here this is the trachea. Okay, and afterward the trachea open into the lungs. There is the right lungs and next one is left lungs, right? And then when we talking about the trachea divides. Why? Because there is a two lungs are present. Okay, so that's why trachea required to divide. When it's divide, that called the bronchus. Okay, and bronchus further divide and redivide and form the bronchioles, right? So we will see in detail about the all respiratory organs. In this picture, in the slide, you can see the upper respiratory system. In our upper respiratory system, here you will learn about the nose. Okay, so let's see what is the nose. A pair of slit-like opening called the external nares, nostril, for the entry of air into the nasal cavity. Okay, so this is the passage where the air goes inside and carbon dioxide goes out. Okay, so this is the proper passage. And the nasal cavity divided into two right and left nasal chamber. Okay, so when you see the properly, so this is divided, two nostrils are present. Okay, you can see in a mirror in your face there is nose and that is divided into two nasal cavity. Okay, so that is the divided, so dividation with the help of the cartilaginous tissue. Okay, that divides it in a two parts. What is the name of that is important for your examination. Mesthmoid cartilage. Okay, mesethmoid cartilage is the name of nasal cavity that divide the two nasal cavities. Okay, so the next point you have seen over here, there is the mesethmoid cartilage. Okay, each nasal chamber is further divided into three regions. So this is also very important term. This is divided into three parts. Okay, so which the vestibule, respiratory part and olfactory part. Okay, so in this picture, this one you can see there is the nasal cavity. Okay, so how this is divided here, this is your vestibular region. Okay, so here the vestibular region, and the next one is, this is the olfactory region. Okay, third one sensory chamber, right? And the next one, this here. Okay, so this is the respiratory part, right? So when you're talking, this is a whole R, this all R, this is the nasal cavity. Okay, so in the nasal cavity, what you see, that is divided into three parts: vestibule, respiratory part, and olfactory or sensory chamber. So let's see what is the function of these all region. First of all, we will talk about the vestibule. Okay, so proximal part about the nostril. So this is when you see in this picture, so this is the proximal part, just an entry here you can breathe. Okay, so here this is the vestibular part. Okay, so this part for the respiration. What is the important of this part? Its skin has hair. Okay, so what is the function, why hair are present over here? That is filtering the air and trapping the dust and suspended particles in the inhaled air. Okay, so this is very important term, why it is present. When you are inhaling the air, having some so many particles, dust particles, and so many things, pollen grain and all, so these are not required for our body. So this is a very important function of the vestibular reason. So throw out and keep it outside. Okay, so this function performed by the vestibular region, okay, with the help of hairs, right? And the next one, the next part is respiratory part, where it is, you can see in this picture, this is the respiratory part, this is the second part. Okay, so middle thin walled highly vascular part for warming and moistening the inhaled air. Okay, so this is very important function, respiratory part, that is the highly vascular part. Okay, and what is the function and what is the work of this part? To warming air and moistening when you inhale. Okay, every time you can feel that when you inspire or expire, the air is something warm, okay, and moist. Okay, so you can feel that. Okay, in a winter season already you can see that. Okay, when you exhale, you can see the smoke like structure present on the mirror and all, and you can see there the some air, some water droplet also present over there. Okay, so how it is possible? With the help of respiratory part having the moistening air and then warming the air also. Okay, so next part is a olfactory or sensory chamber. Okay, so what is the function of this olfaction word? Always remember this olfaction, yeah, olfactory word. This is very important. This word is related to sense of smell. Okay, so in a central nerve system, when you study about the central nerve system or a brain, so when you study about the structure of brain, so there also you have to be use this term, the olfactory lobe. Okay, so olfactory lobe, that is present in our brain. So what is the function of this olfactory lobe? To recognize the different smells. Okay, so the point where it is present, that is the uppermost part, which is lying the olfactory epithelium for detection of smell. Okay, so olfactory lobe, and this chamber is recognize that smell. Okay, so with the help of olfactory epithelium, and their senses goes to the brain, and in a brain the particular lobe is present. What is the name of that? That is the olfactory lobe, that recognize which type of smell you have, right? So these are all the part of olfactory lobe. Okay, I hope this slide is clear to you. So let's move on the next slide, that is the next one, upper respiratory system. The next part is pharynx. Okay, so in this picture you can see here the anatomy of pharynx. Okay, so pharynx is divided into three part. Okay, when you see the pharynx, according to position, according to function, we are dividing it for the three part. Okay, which nasopharynx, First one is nasopharynx, oropharynx and laryngopharynx. Okay, how can you remember this all name? Nasopharynx, that is uppermost, that is after the nasal cavity, just nasal cavity it is present, so that's why the name is nasopharynx. Okay, oropharynx, because it is present in front of oral cavity, that's why we are giving the name of this part, it is oropharynx. Okay, and this laryngopharynx, why it is called the laryngopharynx? Because it is just present just front of larynx. Okay, so that's why this all names. So I hope this is easy to remember you. Nasopharynx in just front of the nasal cavity, and the next one is oropharynx, that that is the opening of mouth, okay, or oral cavity, and the laryngopharynx, that is of present in front of larynx. So pharynx is nothing but that is also called the buccal cavity, because it is just a passage. Okay, so in this picture how can you recognize which part? Okay, so here you can see this is the nasal cavity, and here the oral cavity. Okay, and the next one is here the larynx. Okay, so these are the part. Here the this one pink structure, and oropharynx, just your mouth is open over here, and larynx just over here where you swallow the food. Okay, so these are the passage. Okay, so now how can we divide it? So there it is present nasopharynx, oropharynx and laryngopharynx. Where it is nasopharynx is this part. Okay, because that is present in front of nasal cavity. Oropharynx, that is present over here. Okay, so that is present in front of oral cavity, and the next one is laryngopharynx, where it is in front of larynx. So that's why it is divided. So I hope this is clear to you, where it is present. Okay, because this all things present inside your body. Okay, so nasopharynx, what, how can you write that in your answer paper? Uppermost part of nasal chamber which leads into oropharynx. Okay, so that is very simple. Oropharynx, common passage for food and air, which continues below the laryngopharynx. Okay, so oropharynx, this is the common passage. Okay, when you close your nose, so when you can breathe with the help of your mouth. Okay, so how it is possible? Because oropharynx are there, so that is the common passage for your respiratory and digestive tract, right? And the next one is laryngopharynx, that is the last part of pharynx found between the hyoid bone. Where it is present? Hyoid bone, in last 11th standard you already study about the skeletal system, where you have seen that the hyoid bone is present in a below the your jaw bone. Below the jaw bone there is a bone is present. Okay, so that name of that bone is hyoid bone. Okay, so search it on your skeletal system. Okay, so you can easily find out that hyoid bone, that is just below the your jaw cavity, lower jaw. In lower jaw there is the bone present. Okay, so that name is a hyoid bone. So why we are considering it? The last part of pharynx found between the hyoid bone and larynx. Okay, and esophagus, it is the part of which part? This is the part of digestive system. Okay, mouth open into esophagus. So this is also clear to you why we are taking this word esophagus, which helps guide food and air where to go. So this is very important, where to go, because pharynx is the common passage for air and food both. So this is very important, where air should go and where food should go. Okay, when if accidental your food goes in respiratory tract, so you causes the diseases. Okay, so many diseases, your breath will maybe stop. Okay, so this is very important role of laryngopharynx. Okay, so what is that? That is the last part of pharynx found between hyoid bone and larynx and esophagus, which helps guide to food and air where to go. Okay, so I hope this slide is clear to you. So let's move forward. Here the lower respiratory system, the next one is, that is the larynx. Okay, the pharynx and nasal cavity, that are the part of upper respiratory system. Now we are going to study about the lower respiratory system. So let's move on the next. Here the larynx. Okay, the first point over here, it is called voice box. Okay, how can you produce sound? Okay, how can, with the help of larynx. So that's why it is called the voice box, which contain vocal cord. Okay, vocal cord is present inside the larynx. Okay, and this cord is producing sound, right? And the next point over here, it extend from the laryngopharynx when it is extend and hyoid bone to the trachea. Okay, so this is the larynx. In this picture you can see this is the larynx. Okay, so this larynx from where to where? That is in a trachea. Trachea is the next part of respiratory tract. So here to the front branch is a laryngopharynx. To laryngopharynx to trachea, this is extended. The next point, third point, you can see here, it is hollow tubular structure. So this is very easy, hollow. Why? Because it's required to produce sound. Okay, so that's why this is hollow. Okay, its wall is made up of cartilage plate held by membranous and muscles. Okay, so which one? Cartilage is a type of tissue, bones and cartilage, you know about that. So cartilaginous plate held by membranous membranes and muscles. Why this membranes and muscles? Because they are when you respire and when you speak, so these muscles and the membranes are vibrating. This vibration can produce the sound, right? And the next one is, internally it is lined by a pair of folds of the elastic vocal cord. Okay, so this is the true vocal cord. According with the help of this cord we can speak. Okay, so internally pair of folds of the elastic means elastic muscles. Okay, so that muscles called the vocal cord. When this elastic muscles vocal cord is vibrate, and then sound is produced. Okay, next sixth point you have see here, that is the voice is produced by the passage of air between the vocal cord and modulateness created by the tongue, teeth, lips and nasal cavity. So all over these all part is included to produce the sound, right? The next one is, because when you talking out, so you can feel the all lips also included, teeth also included, tongue also included, nasal cavity. When you close your nose, so you can't produce the sound. So this is easy for you to understand. Practically you can do this, right? So when the air goes inside, so when the air goes inside, that vibrate the vocal cord, and these all organs make the voice and particular language, right? So next, seventh point, what is that? That is the larynx open into laryngopharynx. Okay, through the slit like opening called the glottis, which is guarded by the leaf like flap called epiglottis. So this is very important point. Okay, which one? Larynx open into laryngopharynx. So where it is present in this picture, you can see here, this is the epiglottis. So what is the epiglottis? That is the flap. okay, flap like structure. How can you see this structure? When you open your mouth in front of mirror, you can see their bell like structure present in your oral cavity. Okay, so that also called the tonsil also. Okay, so what is that? That is nothing but that is the epiglottis. Okay, what is the function of this epiglottis? To prevent the entry of food into the trachea. So that's why it is very important. Where epiglottis present, that is present in a glottis. Okay, so what is the glottis? That is the opening of nasal cavity when the pharynx open. Okay, so pharynx is the meeting point of respiratory and digestive. So how that openings? That opening is a glottis, and glottis is guarded with the help of epiglottis. Okay, so I hope this all points are clear to you. And here you can see there when we talking about the hyoid bone. So you can see in this picture, this is the hyoid bone, this one. Okay, so this is the hyoid bone, right? And the next is structure, that is the thyroid. Okay, thyroid, that is also thyroid is a gland. Okay, you always listen about that, the thyroid problem and all. So this is the gland that control our body's metabolic activities. And here the important structure you have to be understand, that is the epiglottis. Okay, and then next one is laryngeal prominence, Adams of apple, that is also called the larynx, also called the Adams of apple. And here you can see this is the tracheal cartilage. Okay, so here the over the name. Okay, so I hope this diagram is clear. The important thing, how can you recognize hyoid bone? Here this is present just in a front of your larynx. Okay, and epiglottis, that present glottis over here. Okay, and this flap, this is the glottis. Okay, and here this passage where the this flap is present. Okay, when you swallow the food, this flap is close to the glottis. Okay, and when that glottis is closed, food goes into the esophagus, not in trachea. So that's why this this glottis and epiglottis is important, right? So let's move on the next structure. Okay, now the next organ of lower respiratory tract is a trachea. So this is also very important slide. Okay, trachea, the length of trachea is 10 to 12 centimeter in length, runs through the neck in the front of esophagus. Okay, so esophagus, okay, that is the digestive system passage. Okay, oral cavity also open the esophagus. So the two tubes are going in your thoracic cavity. One is the esophagus, that is food passage or food pipe, and the next one is that is the trachea, that is your air pipe. Okay, so these two tubes are present. So where the trachea present? Trachea in front of esophagus. Okay, and extend to 7 up to middle thoracic cavity. So what is the thoracic cavity? Your body or human body, in a botanical term, botany term, we are divided into 3 parts. Okay, so which one is a head region, thoracic region, and where your stomach is present, so that is the abdominal region. Okay, so where trachea present in thoracic cavity. Okay, and the next one is the important term where you have to be not miss out when you writing the answer. Supported by, this pipe is supported by C-shaped 16 to 20 rings of cartilage which prevent the collapse of trachea. So this is very important. So collapsing of trachea is prevented by the cartilage. In this picture you can see here, this all are this ring shape structure. Okay, you can see here and here also. Okay, so this C-shaped structure is nothing but that is the cartilage. Okay, so what is the cartilage? That is the tissue. Okay, hard tissue, other that is different with the muscles. Okay, so how many cartilage is present? There is 16 to 20 cartilaginous rings present. What is the function of this? That is the prevents the collapse of trachea, right? Internally lined with the ciliated pseudo stratified epithelium. Okay, what is the name of the epithelium that is inside present of trachea? That is pseudo stratified epithelium. And mucus gland, this is very important. Mucus gland, why mucus gland? That secrete the mucus. Okay, when you having some problem is asthmatic problem or allergic problem. Okay, so in that time, and you are suffering from cold. How this cold, what happening in a cold? In that time when you are suffering, okay, so what happening in this time? When you are inhale in that air, some bacteria or some allergic things are present, and these allergic things is trapped by mucus. Okay, so this mucus, where it is secreted? That secreted from the trachea. Okay, why it is secreted? Because this is required to trap this all bacteria and germs. Okay, so that's why you are feeling cold. Okay, when the virus attack inside of your trachea. Now the coronavirus, you know about that. So this is also the injured our respiratory tract first, then that enters inside our body. So first, when you are taking care of your respiratory tract and mucus gland and trachea, so you can easily fight with the coronavirus and other viruses. Okay, so mucus gland, why it is important? It should be important because that secrete the mucus to trap the tiny or germs particles that is escape from the nasal cavity. Okay, so this is a very important, so that it should be trapped by, otherwise that all germs will enters your lungs. So what is the function of that? Which cell is, or which muscles is present for that? That is the ciliated. What is the meaning of ciliated? When the cell or membrane, okay, this is the if this is the cell, okay, cell having this projection, this type of projection, so this projection called the cilia. Okay, so that's why this epithelium, this is the, here I draw this one. Okay, this is the epithelium having the projection. What is the name of this projection? That is the cilia. Okay, so here which type of cilia present? That is the pseudo stratified cilia. Okay, so that's why this epithelium name is, that is ciliated pseudo stratified epithelium. Why it is important? Because it having the gland. Okay, you know about the specialized cells having the secretion. Okay, so how this secretion? That secretion is the mucus. Okay, so here the gland is present that can secrete some chemical, and what is the name of that chemical? That is the mucus. Okay, so this mucus is important, and what is the function of this mucus? That trap unwanted particles to prevent entry in your lungs. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you. Okay, so when you see this picture, okay, so some here, okay, here this is the trachea. Okay, so here this is the larynx. Okay, so here this is the larynx. So larynx open into trachea. Okay, so this is the trachea, and trachea further divided. Okay, so first, what is the division? This division is the trachea bronchi, and that further divided into bronchi. Okay, so just remember is first one, trachea. Okay, trachea divides and form the bronchus. Okay, bronchus, when the bronchus redivide, okay, so it is called the bronchi. Okay, and when this bronchi is further dividing and redividing, that called the bronchioles. Okay, so these all are the part of trachea. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So in this picture clearly you can see. Okay, so here you can see that is the, this is the trachea, and this is the division of trachea, and this is the small tertiary segmental bronchi. Here this red color and blue color, yellow color, this all are the tertiary segmented bronchioles. Okay, so first of all trachea, bronchus, bronchi, and last one is bronchioles. So this proper division you have to be remember, right? So I hope this slide is clear to all. So let's move forward to the next slide. Next, let's see the detail about the bronchi, why it is important. So what is the function of bronchi? The trachea divides into the right and left primary bronchi as reaches the middle of the thoracic cavity. Okay, so here you can see this is the divided. Okay, so why it is divided? Because we have the two lungs. Okay, so every lungs require the oxygen, so that's why this trachea, when is taking the oxygen from the nostril, so this oxygen is traveling from the this trachea, and then bronchi is divide. Okay, so bronchi tracking the both part of lungs, right? So let's, next one is internally these are supported. So this supported obviously, so in a previous slide you can understand about the cartilage, why it is important. So here also in a bronchi also you can see seed shaped incomplete rings. Okay, in a trachea that is complete ring, but when you see the bronchi, that is the incomplete rings of cartilage, right? And the next part, that is the primary bronchi divide to form the secondary tertiary bronchi. Okay, which leads into the terminal bronchioles. Okay, so last terminal of this passage, okay, tracheal terminal called the bronchioles here. Okay, you can see in this picture here, over here, that is the bronchioles. Okay, so left bronchus and right bronchus, left lung and right lungs. Okay, and then this is the tracheal cartilage. Okay, so I hope this diagram is clear to all. Okay, so this is the important. And the next one is when the bronchioles, what is the function, what happens of when the oxygen, where the oxygen reach. Okay, so oxygen should reach to the, oxygen should reach to the particular air bag, where from oxygen should be goes to the blood. Okay, so this passage for the diffusion of oxygen, this passage provided by the alveoli, where this alveoli is present, that is the terminal end of bronchioles. So this is also called the air bag or air sac. Okay, so let's learn about that. So here the next one is, next part is the lungs. Okay, so lower respiratory parts having the lungs. So when you see this lungs, main respiratory organ of human body, right? So that is present in a pair. Okay, so you can see here this is the two pairs of lungs. Okay, and the next one is pair, that lungs having which type of muscles, that is the elastic muscles, spongy elastic. Okay, and lungs present, where it is present in a thoracic cavity, you know about that, so that is very easy for you. Okay, each lungs encloses, now this point is very important. Okay, third point, each lungs enclosed and protected by a double pleural membrane. Okay, so this pleural word is always related with the pleural cavity or this lungs. When you talking about the heart, so in a biological term we are always saying the cardiac word we are using. Okay, when you talking about the lungs, so you are using the pleural word, right? So outer, so here you can see this is the pleural membrane. Okay, where it is, this is. Okay, so lungs is fully covered, it not directly you can see the lungs when you dissect the human body. first of all you have seen this membrane. Okay, so what is the name of this membrane? That is the pleural membrane, that divided into two part, outer and inner. Okay, so what is the name of outer layer? That is outer is parietal. Why? Because that is present in a periphery, so that's why the name is parietal. Okay, you can see here. Okay, and the next one is the inner. Okay, so inner one name is visceral, because that is present in a visceral organ, just above the visceral organ, so that's why the name is visceral. So I hope this is easy to remember to you. Okay, so outer parietal, inner visceral. Okay, what are that? That is the membrane that enclose or pack to the your lungs. Okay, why? For the protection of lungs, that from the shock and all things when you are doing in your daily life. Okay, so this is very important to protect your lungs. So how it is protected? With the help of this membrane. Okay, outer parietal, inner visceral, right? And the next, move on the next fourth point, between two pleural cavity, how this is divided. There is a, when you see that the, if this is the outer layer, okay, parietal, and this one is inner layer. Okay, so here the cavity is formed, and this cavity is fulfilled it. Okay, fulfilled it with, this cavity is fulfilled with the liquid or some fluid. Okay, and that secreted from the membranes. So this cavity is fully filled with this, just like here I am drawing here, this cavity is filled with the fluid. Okay, so I hope this is clear. This is the visceral, okay, visceral cavity, and this is the pleural cavity. Okay, so and this is covered it, okay, or full filled it with the fluid. Which type of that fluid? Is a lubricating fluid. Okay, and where, how this is come to here? This is come with the help of secretion of this membrane. Okay, this membrane secrete the lubricating fluid, and that fills this cavity. Okay, which cavity? That is the pleural cavity. Okay, let's next point, the right lungs. Now this is also very important. Okay, when this question will be come for your examination, 3-mark question, write a short note on lungs. Okay, so this all points should be clear. Okay, there is a 6 point, each point having the half mark, so this is very important slide for you. So the right lungs is larger. Okay, which one? Right side lung is larger and divided into three lobes. You can see here in this picture, this is the first, this is the second, this is the third. Okay, so here you can see there is a divided into three lobes. Which one? Right lungs is divided into three lobes, and this is the larger lung. Okay, and the next one is the second lungs, that is the left lungs, that divided into two parts. Okay, you can easily see here here you can see this is the pink color, and this is the yellow color, only two lobes. Here you can see the pink color, the red color, and then yellow color. So this is right side three lobes, and here the two lobes are present. Okay, the last point over here you have to be described. Each lobe of lung has the terminal bronchioles. Okay, so each lung's terminal bronchioles ending in the bunch of air sacs. So this air sac is very important. Okay, why important? Because here actually the respiratory system will be done their function. How this air sac is encloses with a network of capillaries, and in this passage the oxygen diffuse to the blood. So that's why this is important. So where it is present? Each lobe. Okay, each lobe, this lobe, there is three lobes, all lobes should be. Okay, so bronchial ending, bunch of air sacs. How many air sacs are present over there? That is 10 to 12 alveoli are present. So let's move on the next slide. Here you can see which type of alveoli. Okay, so here this picture, this is Okay, here this is the bunch of alveoli. Many alveoli are over there. Okay, so thin walled, how it, the structure, how when you writing the answer, which type you have to be right. The thin walled lobulated structure like the bunch of grapes, you can see here. Okay, and the next one is each ovulus is surrounded by a network of capillaries of pulmonary arteries and veins. So this is very important when we talking about that. Why this is important? Because it is the capillaries, network of capillaries. So which are that is pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins taking the oxygenated blood and pulmonary arteries taking the deoxygenated blood. Okay, that we will discuss in a later videos for the circulation. Okay, so here just remember that there is the network of capillaries of the pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins. Okay, why it is important? Because deoxygenated means oxygen diffuses inside the blood, and the carbon dioxide goes out into the alveoli. So this is very important. Okay, the next one is these have highly elastic wall made up of a single layer of squamous epithelium. So this is also very important. Alveoli is made up of squamous epithelium. Okay, resting on the basement membrane of the connective tissue. Okay, so over here the membrane is epithelium membrane is also present, and the next one is basement connective tissues also present. Okay, so they how many alveoli? Okay, so there are about 700 millions alveoli in lungs, which provide the surface area for exchange of gases. So the main function of alveoli is that provide the surface area for exchange of gases. So this is very important. Okay, so how many? There is 7 millions alveoli in lungs. Okay, so I hope this is clear. And last point, this is very also very important, diaphragm. What is the function of this diaphragm? Okay, so diaphragm, where it is present? When you see that this is the lung. Okay, so this is your thoracic cavity, lungs are present, and here you can see this transfer muscles are present. Okay, so these transfer muscles is nothing but that is the diaphragm. Okay, what is the function of that? When that is a contract or relax, your whole lungs, okay, this lungs also attached to this diaphragm. Okay, according to that you are exhale or inhale. So in breathing patterns, this diaphragm is very important. Where it is present? It's divide your body into upper and lower region. Upper side that is present thoracic cavity, and lower side there is the abdomen cavity. Okay, so this diaphragm is important. So what is that? That is the muscular septum that separate the thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. How it is? That is dome shaped. This is very important. Dome shaped and on contract it between the flatten. Okay, so when this contract, so this is very important. Always you, when you see the contraction, you have seen that when anything is a contract, that shape is changed. But here in a normal condition, that diaphragm always in a dome shape. Okay, when it contract, that is flattened. Okay, so this is help out to you when you study about the breathing pattern. Okay, so I hope this all slide or video is clear to you. You are already or better understand about the human respiratory system. So thank you so much.